what's up guys? My name is Liv, and today we're gonna be doing a little challenge in Planet Zoo. I saw a bunch of videos for challenges with a wheel generator where you enter a bunch of prompts or themes into a wheel and it spins and it chooses an answer for you. Well, I have put a bunch of different things for Planet Zoo into a wheel, and I'm gonna let this wheel basically create my zoo. I started out by putting all of the biomes that we have here in Planet Zoo into the wheel. It could have chose desert, grassland, tropical, temperate, taiga, or tundra. I put all them in and I spun the wheel, and the wheel gave us tropical. I also decided to let the wheel choose what continent to build on, and it chose North America. So I guess we're gonna have a Florida zoo. After I spun the wheel, I went ahead and entered those into Planet Zoo, and we are creating the zoo. After I built the basic workshops that we'll need and put them down, I decided to ask the wheel what theme we should do. It gave us Arctic. And here's my reaction to a Arctic zoo in Florida. But I said, okay, and we went through the Arctic building pieces, and after about an hour, this is what I came up with. Just little buildings with an Arctic feel to them. After I laid down the path, it was time to ask the wheel what our first animal was gonna be in our Arctic Florida zoo. There are a lot of animals in Planet Zoo, so I had no idea what the first animal was gonna be, but the wheel has spoken, and our first animal is gonna be a southern cassowary. This isn't the worst thing that the wheel could have given me, but it also wasn't the greatest. I decided to just start out by using some East Asia lumber, and we made a fence at the front of the habitat. I didn't ask the wheel what theme to do for this first habitat, and I did do it later on in the video, and I'll continue to do that going on forward. But I ended up using some limestone pieces and created this kind of classical texturous building. It doesn't really matter because all of the foliage in the cassowary's habitat covers it up anyways, or at least I intended for it to be covered up anyways. The final step was to just keep the cassowaries in the habitat. I just put a chain link fence at the front part of the zoo and then added their bedding and a little forage box. I knew that I wanted a path to be directly in the center of the habitat, and then I wanted it to be kind of divided up to a left side and a right side. The right side of the habitat was going to be completely covered in foliage, but I wanted a huge tree on the back of the left side and a huge tree at the front of the right side, mainly to cover up that awful building that I created in the beginning. Once those trees were down, it was time to load this habitat up with a bunch of foliage. And now here is our first finished habitat of our wheel zoo. Next, it was time to choose the next animal that was going to be in this zoo. The wheel has spoken, and our second animal is going to be Cheetah. And the theme for the Cheetah's building is going to be Indian. Again, not the worst that could have been chosen. Here's another reaction of me completely baffled at this point, but it ended up working because I was able to find the sandstone within the India portion of the building, and it actually worked out really well. I had no idea how I wanted this building to look, so it really just came down to me playing Tetris with the building items. After I kind of got the basis of what the building was going to look like, I decided to add a flat part of the roof and then a more textured side with panels at the front part of the building. I added a little bit of Indian texture to the building just because it was really looking like a shoebox at this point. Now that I had the building done, it was time to start the cheetah habitat. I know that I wanted the cheetah habitat to be mostly flat, but I still wanted there to be some texture in there that kind of gave it some dimension. After looking around at a lot of the Indian building items, I settled with just using sandstone as the fence for the cheetahs. I cut out a little portion so that I could add windows, and then I added one-way glass to those windows so that the cheetahs didn't get overstimulated. I was gonna add one-way glass to the top windows as well, but then I found this Indian kind of window thing, and I decided to color it red and put it all over. Now that that's done, it's time to put the cheetahs in here and start getting to work on this habitat. I added a little rock fixture there to the right of the habitat, and then I just added a few trees to kind of give it some feel, and a few of this dead grass to kind of give it some texture on the ground and not just be a flat ground. The cheetahs are another animal that just don't really like that much in their habitat. So after that and adding some scratching trees, the habitat was pretty much done. I'll give you a little cinematic of our finished cheetah habitat. Last but not least, it was time to move on to our third habitat animal, which was gonna be the Himalayan brown bear. I knew the general layout that I wanted for a bear habitat, so I started out with that. I also knew that I wanted there to be a waterfall wall in the Himalayan bear habitat and a shallow lake for them to play in. Now that I had the foundation, it was time to spin for the building theme. And we got East Asia, which was perfect for this habitat. Now that I knew that we were having East Asia as our theme, I knew this habitat had to have a pagoda. I live in Baltimore, so I wanted the pagoda to look roughly like the pagoda we have here. I wanted it to be large and tall so that it was the first thing you saw when you were looking at the mountain to go to the bear habitat. Adding these little wall decorations completely changed how this building looked. Majority of my time building the Himalayan bear habitat was absolutely devoted to this building right here. Once I finished the pagoda, this is what I had. There was a ton of rocks, the waterfalls were very chunky, and I didn't like it. So I trashed the whole thing. I kept what I loved, and I completely redid the waterfall situation. I also added a little hill in the background. After making the climate good for the bears, it was time to sprinkle snow all over the habitat. I left a few grassy spots just so that it looked more natural. Now it was finally time for my favorite part of this build, the foliage. I wanted this habitat to have a very earthy feel and kind of overgrown feel to it. So there was gonna be vines everywhere and little splotches of grass thrown in there. I wanted it to have kind of a foresty theme, and I also brought that up with the path going up to the bear habitat. Now that it was all completed, here is the finished Himalayan bear habitat. Thank you so much for watching. I had a lot of fun creating this video. If you like this video, please consider giving me a like and follow me for more wheel videos and Planet Zoo videos. See you guys next time.